Let's start this over.
Okay. Action.
Okay, so Ashley talked about that we are going to be discussing certain sections of the Book of Discipline that deal with the United Methodist Church's stance on homosexuality. So while we may be reading little excerpts from the Book of Discipline, we would like to remind everyone that it's more of an informative, explanatory kind of little session here, not necessarily our viewpoints on the issue and the topic of homosexuality within the United Methodist Church, because clearly in the purpose of the God Squad, we've recognized that we as a group, and we're kind of recognizing that as a church community, there are certain aspects of the Book of Discipline that we do not necessarily agree with. So basically, this video is more informative, not opinion-based. So that is that. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the part of the Book of Discipline that discusses the sexuality and the United Methodist Church's views on homosexuality. So this is directly from page 161, section F of the Book of Discipline, that says, quote, "We affirm that sexuality is God's good gift to all persons. We call everyone to be responsible stewards of this sacred gift. Although all persons are sexual beings, whether or not they are married, sexual relations are affirmed only within the covenant of monogamous heterosexual marriage." So basically what that means is that the United Methodist Church affirms that all people are sexual beings. That's just our nature. But those sexual relationships, are only affirmed when the relationship is monogamous. So just two people, and those two people have to be a man and a woman. So moving on, quote, "We affirm that all persons are individuals of sacred worth, created in the image of God. All persons need the ministry of the church in their struggles for human fulfillment, as well as the spiritual and emotional care and fellowship that enables reconciling relationships with God, with others, and with self." Unquote. So this is the big part coming up real quick. Quote, "The United Methodist Church does not condone the practice of homosexuality and considers this practice incompatible with Christian teaching. We affirm that God's grace is available to all. We will seek to live together in Christian community, welcoming, forgiving, and loving one another as Christ has loved and accepted us. We implore families and churches not to reject or condone or condemn lesbian and gay members and friends. We commit ourselves to be in ministry for and with all persons." So the two big sections again are the United Methodist Church does not condone the practice of homosexuality and considers this practice incompatible with Christian teaching. And the other section, which is, we implore families and churches not to reject or condemn lesbian and gay members and friends. So basically what we're talking about here is that it looks like the United Methodist Church has, the problem mostly is with the sexuality aspect of the relationship. So whereas the United Methodist Church encourages all members to be welcoming and kind, just as God would like us to be towards lesbian and gay members of the church is basically saying that they do not condone the sexual relationship aspect of individuals of the same gender being in a relationship together. Okay, so continuing on with the Book of Discipline stuff. This part is page 162, section J, which deals with equal rights regardless of sexual orientation. So I'm going to read real quick, then explain. So, quote, "Certain basic human rights and civil liberties are due to all persons. We are committed to supporting those rights and liberties for all persons regardless of sexual orientation. We see a clear issue of simple justice in protecting the rightful claims where people have shared material resources, pensions, guardian relationships, mutual powers of attorney, and other such lawful claims, typically attendant to contractual relationships that involve shared contributions, responsibilities, and liabilities, and equal protection before the law. Moreover, we support efforts to stop violence and other forms of coercion against all persons regardless of sexual orientation. So this is kind of a part of the Book of Discipline that seems to kind of is a little bit juxtaposed to what we commonly think of the United Methodist Church's stance on homosexuality, because it's basically saying that along with the previous section that talked about how the United Methodist Church does not condone sexual relationships between with gay and lesbian relationships, but they still would like us to, or would like all members of the church to treat them equally with respect, just as God would like us to treat them. So this is kind of a continuation of that sort of idea or theme, basically saying that equal rights are protected under regardless of sexual orientation. So this basically includes the more lawful aspects of those rights, like contractual agreements within relationships, no matter the sexual orientation. It also talks about supporting efforts to stop violence and other forms of that kind of thing against gay and lesbian or LGBT individuals and couples. And so basically this is just those two sections kind of combined are basically, we don't condone homosexuality within the church, or we don't condone homosexual relationships, basically talking about sexual relationships, but it is our job as Methodists to treat them with respect, treat them as God would like us to treat them, no matter that be under the law or just being neighbors in church. And that is that section of the Book of Discipline explained.